Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard for, might as well say Season 2 of Dropkicks and Attractions, because it's been, 9 months?
I think closer to 6.
6 to 9 months. 69. Nice.
Nice.
By the way, I am, of course, the host with the most, but not really a ghost, the Prince of Pop Culture, Xander Invictus. You're welcome. And I am, of course, joined by how Mean Gene Oken likes to put, my good, close, personal friend, Big Boct. How are you, sir?
I am doing fine, and I'm looking forward to getting back to this.
Yeah, this is not the show to be saying that on. Anyways, real life got in the way, so we had to put this on hold. And, we're back, and we're going to be back weekly. If this is your first episode listening to, hi.
Hi.
This is basically a weird combination of pro wrestling and pop culture, starting from the 90s on, where we kind of talk about both and how they kind of intersect. Hex the double helix, hence the DNA logo. We'd like to talk about a little bit of the stuff that we're watching now, get into wrestling, and any pop culture references or any way we can tie them into each other. And then we talk a little bit about the top stuff in that era at the end of each episode. Going by, at the time, Monday Night Raw and WCW Saturday Night, those were the flag shows of both promotions, and those are really the big shows on TV. So normally on those episodes, we go over the weekly stuff, and then movies, TV shows, that sort of thing. And then on pay-per-view episodes like this one, it's strictly just the pay-per-view. We don't do any of the top 5 stuff, because it still falls in with the week. It works. Just go with it. Just follow along. You'll catch up.
Yeah, you'll have fun. We guarantee it.
Don't guarantee it. I don't got the money to be handing out refunds.
Well, maybe not this week, but...
No, or any week. Anyways, before we get into too much of a tangent, which, by the way, is something we're also famous for.
Oh, yeah, we do that a lot.
Yeah. We are coming back to a doozy. We decided to come back. We were about a couple weeks away from it, so we skipped a couple weeks of television. You didn't miss anything. We're coming back to what is considered one of the worst WrestleManias of all time. Not my least favorite, but it's in the bottom. WrestleMania IX.
Yeah, way back when WWE Network was its own thing, I tried to go through all of Raw from the beginning, and this is what killed my interest.
Yeah. So, but before we get into that, we do like to talk about, at least pop culture-wise, stuff now that we're watching. Movies, TV shows, animes, cartoons, whatever. So, Boct, what are you watching, sir?
I've got a couple animes I'm following from the simulcast season. Tonikawa, which that's just a lighthearted comedy about a kid and his wife.
Kid and his wife.
Well, not kid, but they married early.
I was going to say, I know, there's some weird animes out there. I'm just like, all right.
Yeah, they're high school age, but high school's not compulsory in Japan like it is in the States, so...
Okay. You always said you were a fan of the slice of life stuff anyways.
Oh, yeah, I like it when there were no stakes.
So, like a vegetarian restaurant.
Oh, shut up.
Anyway, so what else are you watching?
I'm also watching another anime called Too Cute Crisis, which is about some aliens who come upon Earth. One of them goes down to investigate, and she just can't handle how cute our pets are.
I mean, fair, I am a good friend of the doggos.
Oh, yes, me too.
I love a good doggo.
How about you? What have you got on your plate?
Nothing. I haven't had dinner yet. Other than that, TV-wise, I don't watch a lot of new stuff. I don't know why. Or if I do, I wait till the whole show's out.
You like your binges, huh?
I do. Or I know this show's going to be good, and I don't want to get caught into a show and be like, get caught in a cliffhanger and then the show's canceled. At least let me know ahead of time this is all we're going to get.
I gotcha.
So, I mean, the only two things I am watching new, but they haven't come out with the new seasons yet, is Boys, which they just finished filming season 4. So I'm excited about that.
You've talked about how much you like that show before.
It's fantastic. It's a superhero show, but for mommy and daddy.
Right.
But they just finished filming season 4, so that should be coming out sometime this year. Probably, I think in the fall at least. And then another show I like is The Only Murders in the Building, and they're working, I don't know if they're still working on it, but I know they were filming season 3.
I remember we did talk about that one. It's a bunch of podcasters trying to solve a murder, right?
Yeah. And then another murder happens in season 2, and shock of all shocks, another murder happens in season 3.
Hey, if the formula works, stick to it.
It does, because it's actually great. But anyways, I've been watching a lot of, movies and old stuff. I grew up watching a lot of cop shows as a kid. So I found on Pluto, which is just as awesome as Tubi. It's all free, but they also have live channels. I found Cagney and Lacey, an old cop show that the first season was 1982, the year of our Lord, the year I was born.
Not familiar with that one, but the name is kind of familiar.
It's about two female detectives in 80s New York.
Gotcha.
It was very popular in the day, like the actresses, one of the two of them won the Best Actress Emmy every year of the show's existence.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and it also had Martin Kove was in it, who most people know as Sensei Kreese from the Karate Kid franchise.
Mm-hmm.
He actually filmed the first movie while this show was still going on.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. Procedurals are comfort TV for me. So, and then I'm also on Tubi. I'm also watching Blue Mountain State because I love that show.
Not familiar with that one.
It's a very raunchy... It was during that time, like the late 2000s spike, where they had all the man shows on there. Like Mansers and 1,000 Ways to Die and that sort of stuff.
Right.
It's a comedy about a college football team, and it's pretty raunchy.
Okay.
I also watched a lot of movies a couple weeks ago. You and I went to this last year, and then I went with a friend of ours this year to Cinema Wasteland outside Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw a lot of movies there. I got to see my all-time favorite movie, Streets of Fire, with a bunch of people, which is fun. And then I saw a bunch of other movies throughout there. There was a bunch I missed as well. And I wrote an article about it in Haunted MTL, which hopefully I'm going to try to get that up today of the writing, which is April 15th of this recording. So hopefully by the time this episode airs, it'll be out. And then I've actually scored 2 interviews with some indie directors that I met through the convention.
Awesome.
Yeah. So other than that, like I got Letterboxd so I can keep track of the movies I've watched.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, the wrestling fans will appreciate this, and I watched it. That documentary, You Cannot Kill David Arquette. Because everybody knows the story about David Arquette. He wrestled, movie Ready to Rumble. He wrestled in WCW and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so he decided he wanted to make right by everybody and trained to be a pro wrestler. This documentary came out in 2020. He trained to be a pro wrestler and went on the indie circuit to try to atone for his sins.
Gotcha.
And it's actually, I rated it 5 stars on Letterboxd. I'm on Letterboxd now.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely fantastic documentary. It had me in tears by the end of it.
Good deal.
It's an absolutely fantastic, like, if you like documentaries, if you like David Arquette, if you like wrestling, highly 100% recommend it. Like, you feel bad for the guy.
I gotcha.
And then there's a bunch of other movies coming out. Like, I still need to see Dungeons and Dragons. I heard good things.
I've heard good things about that one, too.
I heard good things about Mario Brothers. I want to go see that. I did see John Wick 4 the weekend it came out. Me and our mutual friend went to go see John Wick 4.
How was it?
As the 4th movie in a franchise, it is the best one in the franchise.
Really?
And it's nearly 3 hours.
Holy moly.
Did not feel like 3 hours. Like, this is like, the way I look at it is like, I saw The Batman, the Robert Pattinson Batman, last year. Absolutely fantastic movie. Like, he gets shit on a lot as an actor. He's actually really good.
Right.
That's a 3-hour movie. It was an absolutely fantastic movie. And, like, there was nothing you could cut out of The Batman because everything that left in there helped the storylines.
Right.
But it also felt like a 3-hour movie. This one, John Wick was like boom, 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 boom. Okay, movie's over.
Yeah, so I guess my term would be that the Batman was dense. That a good word?
Yeah, it was extremely dense, but everything needed to be everything that was in the movie needed to be there.
Gotcha.
It was a great movie, amazing, fantastic movie, but you could tell it was a 3-hour movie.
Right.
So, but yeah, John Wick 4, 4th one in the franchise, best one in the franchise. And they're all good, that's the thing. All the John Wick movies are, if you like action movies, or like any kind of like the stylized, it's a very stylish movie.
I've heard good things about them, I just haven't felt the need to seek them out.
Peacock if you so desire. I'm a big action movie fan, you're not as much. But I can recommend a movie for you, because you're into kind of like the true crime stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was just recently released, it's a Hulu exclusive, it was called The Boston Strangler.
Ooh.
It has Keira Knightley in it, who I had a major crush on, especially during the Pirates of the Caribbean days. Academy Award winner Chris Cooper, who's been in a bunch of stuff. I apologize if I'm going to screw up his name, David Dastmalchian. I know him, a lot of people might recognize him, mostly he was Polka Dot Man in the Suicide Squad. If you've seen the James Gunn Suicide Squad, he was Polka Dot Man.
Have not seen it.
It's actually a really good movie.
I've heard good things about that one.
Yeah, check that out. I know you're also not a big comic book guy. It's a fun movie, though. Very violent movie. It's a brutal movie.
Gotcha.
That's where Peacemaker comes from.
Ah.
That show is so freaking good, by the way.
That's the one John Cena's part of, isn't it?
Yeah, that's John Cena's character.
Gotcha.
He's Peacemaker. It's a telling of the Boston Strangler case, but it's told from the perspective of the 2 female reporters that broke the case.
Gotcha.
Which, you don't see a lot of reporter-based Like, if you ever saw the Zodiac that had Robert Downey Jr. and Jake Gyllenhaal and Mark Ruffalo in it.
Did not.
Same concept. It's like, we're not telling it from the perspective of the cops or the killer. It's from the perspective of the
journalists.
The journalists. And this was the 60s, and they were female journalists. It's a good movie. Solid 3.5.
3.5, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, if it's the 60s, they're probably dealing with a lot of sexism and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it wasn't beat you over the head. It's like, oh, okay, this seems like this would have taken place in the 60s.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like other stuff I've seen, throughout the year. I'm trying to watch more movies, especially on streaming. I've seen Cocaine Bear this year, which was actually a lot of fun. If you want to see a bear hopped up on cocaine mauling people for an hour and a half and it's based on a true story, it's honestly quite humorous. Creed 3 was fantastic. We saw Scream 6. It's also a very good movie and also one of the worst at the same time.
It's good, but not compared to the other Screams. Is that about right?
No, because when it's good, it's one of the best ones in the franchise.
Oh, it's just got really bad low points.
Yes, because when they did the killer reveal and the motivations at the end, I was like, oh, this is the worst reveal out of all 6 movies.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then I saw a bunch of stuff at the Cinema Wasteland Convention. Also picked up for wrestling fans. Will appreciate this. For $10, by the way, and I looked it up, it's only through WrestleMania 13. In 1998, they released a big box set of all the WrestleMania pay-per-views on VHS, 1 through, it would have been 13, because 14 wasn't it. I'll just now realize today. So it is in one huge box set. It's WrestleMania 1 through 13 on VHS.
Yeah, you told me about that. That's a really cool pickup.
$10, and I just need to get 11 and 12.
Nice.
$10. Box, I mean, it's in great condition. The box is in great condition. All the tapes look good. They're all there. Like I said, all I need is 11 and 12.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, $10. I mean, it's basically, I got it for $1 a tape. Not bad. All right, now that we got all that taken care of, the now, let's talk about the then. We're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, WrestleMania IX. And this is widely considered, and I would have to agree, one of the worst WrestleManias of all time.
Yeah, like I said earlier, this killed my interest in going through Classic Raw.
It was April 4th, 1993. It was also the first outdoors one, because WrestleMania 3 looked like it was outdoors, but that was in the Silver Dome in Detroit. And so it was an enclosed dome, so it doesn't count as outdoors. The first outdoor WrestleMania, which obviously is a big thing now. That's what they do every year now.
Right.
So I think what saves it from me for being the worst WrestleMania is it's outdoors, there's a full Roman theme, everybody's in togas.
Yeah, they're holding it at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas.
Yes, the vibe of it is... I like it because it's almost like a precursor to the stuff now.
I agree, the vibe was good.
And I think, to me, personally, is what saved it from being the worst one.
Which one is the worst to you?
11.
Okay.
Which we'll get to in a couple years. That was the one that was main evented by Bam Bam Bigelow versus Lawrence Taylor.
I know who Bam Bam Bigelow is, but who the hell's Lawrence Taylor?
He was a linebacker for the New York Giants back in the 80s.
How random.
Yeah, it was one of those, they started beef at the Royal Rumble and ended up at WrestleMania. It was a thing. Okay, so, but yeah, like, we see Gorilla Monsoon, who's in a toga. We are introduced to the first appearance in the WWF of good old JR Jim Ross.
Yeah, and he did a lot to make this WrestleMania watchable.
Yeah, he actually, when we started this show, he was actually still in WCW. He did Clash of the Champions 22, which you can find on episode 1 of this show, and a couple Saturday nights with Tony Schiavone, and then left. And then this was his first appearance for the WWF. And he actually called the dark match, which we'll get into here in a minute. Mm-hmm. He introduces Howard Finkel as Finkus Maximus, and that they call him Finkus Maximus throughout the whole show. And then they bring out Caesar and Cleopatra, which, honestly, it's the second time we've seen them, too. They brought them out for Royal Rumble to help promote that WrestleMania is going to be in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So they bring out Caesar and Cleopatra, who are riding in on an elephant.
And yeah, JR gives us a little bit of history here. He says there were 7 rulers of Egypt that were named Cleopatra, and the 7th one was the one that was most closely associated with Caesar.
Which I didn't know that.
Yeah, I looked that up. That's legit.
Yeah, I did not know that. I'm a history guy, did not know that. I thought Elizabeth Taylor was the only Cleopatra.
He.
Oh, okay. I'm surprised it's a movie joke that he actually gets. I appreciate that. And then they bring out the Macho Man, who is being brought out on a sedan, fed grapes by they actually call them Vestal Virgins.
Yeah, the modern term for that would be a litter or a palanquin, something like that.
Yeah, but everybody knows them as sedans. They even said sedan on there a bunch of times. Mm-hmm. And then we get the classic segment, which is sadly one of the only highlights of this show. is when they bring out Bobby Heenan, he is not only riding in on a camel, he's riding it backwards.
Because of course.
And this was absolutely hilarious. This is that one segment, everybody knows this segment. And I always liked Bobby Heenan because he had no problems making himself look like a fool. He always would do stuff like riding in on a camel backwards or being forced to wear a weasel suit. He did this stuff because the crowd would eat it up and he had no problems making himself look like an idiot.
He loved playing the fool.
Yeah. And this was absolutely this was goofy. This whole it went on for about 7 or 8 minutes because you're introducing everybody, the pageantry and all this stuff. I think it went on a tad bit too long, but then it was also the perfect amount of cheese in camp where it was okay, this is a little too much. I think it nailed the fine line.
Yeah, very close to overstaying its welcome, but didn't quite.
Yeah, I think it could have been a little bit shorter, but it didn't drag.
Right.
So when they're going off some of the matches, and then we'll also see Mean Gene. By the way, Mean Gene's got a pimp-ass toga on, too.
Oh, yeah, he looked very good.
Very dashing. Todd Pettingill's also in a freaking toga. There's also a funny moment during the Undertaker match where we see some of the ringside attendants in togas, which was really weird because nobody else was.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go into our first match of the night. Actually, no, I want to talk about the dark match. We had a dark match. I found it on YouTube, and we're going to go ahead and put it up on the DNA podcast Twitter page just so you can see the dark match.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually, not only was it, there's 3 Hall of Famers involved because JR did the commentary for it. It was Hall of Famer Tito Santana versus Hall of Famer Papa Shango, who most people will recognize as the Godfather. Woo woo, pimpin' ain't easy.
Right.
In one of his many gimmicks. And here's the thing. It was kind of fun because if you listen to JR's commentary, you can tell he's talking to the back a little bit because there's different remarks he's saying. That he's talking to the headset, he's talking to the guys in the back about different things, so it's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a nice little peek back in the curtain. But here's the thing. This match was better than most of this pay-per-view.
I was optimistic after the first few matches, but it just fell apart.
No, this was honestly my second favorite match of the entire show, and it was the dark match.
Yeah, I have not seen that dark match yet. I'll check it out after we're done talking here.
I'll send it to you, and then we'll have it on Twitter we'll have it on Twitter later on this week.
All right.
Or at least the week that we record this. But, yeah, it was a competent match. It was better than basically almost everything after the second match. Well, actually, to me, third match, because...
Yeah, the dark match is first, right?
Yeah, it's before the show. And usually, but it was honestly pretty good. But the first official match of WrestleMania, and honestly, another fun fact before we get into that, I know, once again, tangents.
Lots of them.
Watch out, guys, tangents. We're known for tangents. That needs to be a t-shirt. I kind of the idea of a Supreme logo, like the Supreme logo, but it says tangents instead.
I like that.
We'll talk to our seamstress after the show. That was, English, please. That was, Tito Santana had been a member of the first 9 WrestleManias, with this being number 9. This was his first win since WrestleMania 1.
Oh my.
He lost every WrestleMania from 2 through 8. He won his first one, and he won his last one. Fun fact, he won the first one, the last one, and lost 2 through 8. And I want to give a number because it was just also this was a very small arena, especially for a WrestleMania.
Yeah, I noticed that when they were talking about how big the crowd was.
Yeah, it was WrestleMania, we know they do 70, 80, 90, 100,000, depending on how bad they want to inflate the numbers. Every year. 93, this wasn't such a big pageantry. Everybody knew WrestleMania was the big show of the year, but it didn't have the gravitas that it has now. It was attended, with the numbers I found, 16,891. That's about sometimes what you get some Raws for.
Yeah, I was surprised how low that number was.
The year prior, which was WrestleMania 8, which was in the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis, this is the one that had the Ric Flair versus the Macho Man and Hulk Hogan versus Sid Vicious, 62,167.
That's a hell of a drop-off for 1 year.
Well, you go from the Hoosier Dome to a now small outdoor arena in Vegas.
Okay, yeah, now I feel silly.
However, the buy rate, we really don't get into buy rates and shit because most people don't care about buy rates. This had a lower buy rate than WrestleMania 8, but it was also higher than the next 4 WrestleManias. Because this was right there at that very beginning, the dark period. So WrestleMania 9 had more higher buy rate than 10, 11, 12, and 13.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyways, now we are, for the third time, we are getting into the first match of the episode, or the pay-per-view. For the Intercontinental title, it is Shawn Michaels, accompanied by Luna Vachon, versus the Native American warrior Tatanka, accompanied by Sensational Sherry, but not as a manager per se. She wasn't there because she was rooting for Tatanka. She was there because she didn't want Shawn Michaels to
Right, just there to see him get his just desserts.
Yeah, she wasn't there to help out Tatanka. She just didn't, basically. This is, early feeling out process. Tatanka obviously has the strength advantage. She's pretty sturdy.
Mm-hmm.
And, a little bit of going back and forth. And then the first real thing that I was like, oh, this is cool. Shawn Michaels goes for a top rope clothesline. And Tatanka counters that with an arm drag, and I thought that actually looked really cool.
Yeah, that was a nice bit.
Yeah, and then we get a little standoff outside. The action spills outside. We get a standoff between Luna and Sherry, and this actually excited me a little bit. Because anybody that knows that Luna was a trained professional wrestler. Sherry was a trained professional wrestler who had multiple titles.
Yeah, Luna was a second-generation talent, if I heard the commentary right.
And that was true, 100% true. Sherry was a trained professional wrestler who had multiple title wins in many promotions. These girls could go. They were tough. So for somebody like me who's aware of the history, to be able to see Luna and Sherry to go at it and watch them actually, fight and not, scratch and pull here, they could have fought. Mm-hmm. So I was like, ooh, I know it wasn't going to happen, but...
They were teasing, gal.
Fantasy booking, what could have happened. If you know the history, this was a cool moment.
Right.
Tatanka, basically, I want to say the first third of the match is in control. Shawn Michaels get a couple home spots, but it's basically, for the most part, Tatanka for the good 30 to 40% of the match. He gets a real nice DDT after Shawn goes for the duck down a little too early.
Yeah, the commentary's talking at this point about Shawn's left shoulder, which he separated in a six-man tag match where Tatanka managed to pin him.
Yeah, they said that he separated it. I don't know how much of that was true. But yeah, we're going in on this match that not only has Tatanka pinned him in a non-title match, one-on-one, he pinned him in a six-man tag. This was actually, fun fact, out of all the episodes prior to, I guess you could say season 2 or whatever, was our most viewed episode had this match on there.
Really? That was that one?
It was that one. Wasn't any of our previous pop culture episodes or pay-per-views. Our random episode of Raw is, as of right now, our highest viewed episode.
How about that?
Yeah, and this match on there. But yeah, so he's pinned Shawn Michaels twice. Now they have the title up for grabs. Tatanka's really working on the shoulder, hits a nice shoulder breaker, starts going for the tomahawk chops off the top. Their terminology, not ours. Tatanka goes for either it was the second or third one. Shawn Michaels gets them with the future Sweet Chin music.
Yeah, right after this, Tatanka gets thrown out, and we have Sherry and Luna confronting each other again.
Yeah, they're teasing it. It really doesn't happen, spoiler alert. Shawn Michaels goes for a couple victory rolls. They're all saying, oh, he's using his injured shoulder with all these punches. Goes for a second victory roll, but Tatanka counters it with an electric chair drop, but then he misses the elbow drop. And then, really, we get to the ending, and the ending kind of screws up the whole match. And it's a convoluted ending, too.
Yeah, this was a mess.
For any It's Always Sunny fans, I'm about to get into some Pepe Sylvia level, charts and graphs. So, Tatanka and Shawn Michaels are fighting on the outside. Shawn Michaels doesn't want to get counted out, so as they're all trying to fight to get back in there, he pulls the referee out of the ring.
Right.
Tatanka hits his finisher, that Samoan drop. He goes for the pin, but the referee calls for the bell. Tatanka thinks he won the title, but the referee says that he won by countout because Shawn Michaels had got counted out when he pulled the ref out of the ring.
That baffled me. Wouldn't putting hands on the ref be a DQ instead?
We'll get there, Hulk Hogan. So Tatanka wins by countout, but because a title can't change hands on countout, Tatanka doesn't win the title. He's still undefeated, but he doesn't win the title.
Yeah, the match itself was okay. That was 18 minutes and 23 seconds.
One of the longest matches actually on the card, by the way.
That ending, I did not like that ending at all.
Yeah, here's the thing. I liked Tatanka as a kid, I really did. And up until his heel turn next year. He was popular enough, I think he could have gotten, maybe even here. Because we'll see where Shawn Michaels goes feud-wise by the end of this show. I think, I'm not, not trying to fantasy book or anything, but I think even here, Tatanka could have gotten at least one, Intercontinental title reign. I think maybe they could have given it to him here. Let him run with it a little bit. Because he was Intercontinental title worthy. We'll put it that way. But I think that was a missed opportunity. They could have given him at least one run with it. But after the match, Luna and Sherry do get into it, but Luna really kind of takes over really easily and just mollywops Sherry. Tatanka ends up having to carry her back up, carry her away to the back. And that's not the last time we're going to be hearing about that, trust me. So we get to Mean Gene with his pimp-ass red and black and silver toga to talk about Michigan's finest, the Steiner brothers, about their match with the Head Shrinkers. Now, yay, we're going to win, we're the good guys, whatever. And I'm kind of excited about this. This is what Big E likes to call big meaty men slapping meat. Because you got the Steiner brothers versus the Head Shrinkers. And you can tell how much, pageantry and like how much they really gave a shit at this time, because once they go to the interview, head shrinkers are already in the ring. They're like, Gene even says, yeah, the head shrinkers already started walking out, so why are you doing interviews right before a match when like some of the participants are already in the ring and then you want to start doing interviews?
Because that makes sense.
It's weird to me, but it's whatever. So Steiner brothers come out and they have the standoff. You got Samu and Fatu. Fatu is the future Rikishi. And Alpha is one of the Hall of Famer Wild Samoans, basically the whole patriarch, one of the patriarchs of the Anoa'i family that damn near every Samoan in wrestling is related to each other by, most of them are uncles and cousins to each other. The Wild Samoans, Rikishi, the Usos, Solo Sikoa, Roman Reigns, The Rock, Jacob Fatu.
So yeah, it's a big family.
Yeah, basically if you're a Fatu in wrestling, you're related to each other. Like I said, the Usos are huge right now. Roman Reigns is doing huge things. Solo Sikoa. Like, they're all basically uncles and cousins to each other. Basically, this is what I liked, what I wanted to see. I knew what I was going to get into this. It was not going to be pretty. Once again, Big E calls it big meaty men slapping meat.
Yeah, this was a brawl for pretty much the whole thing.
Yeah, we started out with Scott and Fatu. They do, their posing and everything like that. Scott hits Fatu with a clothesline so hard he spins.
Yikes.
And this was actually nice because this was something Rikishi, when he was Rikishi, used to like to do. Get hit with the clothesline and he would do the little spin like that. It's always cool when you see a dude like that size.
Yeah, it really helps sell that you're putting a lot of force behind the blows.
Yeah, just like somebody once asked William Regal, who's in my Mount Rushmore, the difference between a clothesline and a lariat. And I always remember this line. He said, how do you differentiate between a clothesline and a lariat? What's the difference? He goes, a clothesline will knock you down. A lariat will knock you out.
Yeah, I've heard that quote before, but I couldn't remember who it was from.
William Regal.
The man.
The man, the myth, the legend. But yeah, so the head shrinkers do finally take over after a while. And there was this cool move that the Steiners both went for top rope clotheslines on the head shrinkers, but they were both on the same turnbuckle.
Yeah, I saw that. Alpha was getting real heated right at that point.
Yeah. By the way, breaking news, everybody. Luna attacks Sherry at the first aid station.
Yeah, there's a lull in the action as he's talking about this.
Yeah, but it was just like, not like, the medical facility at the arena. The first aid station where you get your boo-boos fixed. They call it the first aid station specifically. But yeah, they even said breaking news, so we just had to be able to stop right here. Anyways, Scott was able to hit that Tiger Driver, that famous Tiger Driver he'd like using.
Is that the double underhook slam?
Yeah, it's Tiger Driver.
Okay, didn't realize that had a name.
He goes to charge one of the head shrinkers. I didn't remember which one it was.
I think that was Samu.
It might have been, but the other one low-bridged him, and he took a nasty, scary-looking fall, where if he wouldn't have ducked, he would have landed on the top of his head.
Yeah, as I was watching this, I thought that was a cool spot, but going back and looking at it again for my notes, like, he could have died.
I think the low bridge was intentional, but the way he fell wasn't. It's just, he was just very well trained on how to fall properly, and I think that's what saved him from breaking his neck, basically, because he would have landed right on the top of his dome.
Yeah, that was scary on second watch.
Yeah. So obviously the head shrinkers, or actually, apparently as I misspelled in my notes, the head shrinks.
Ha!
So I'm going to call them the head shrinks from now on.
Fine by me.
The head shrinks are now in 100% control on Scott for many, 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 many minutes. Clothesline double down, where Scott clotheslines both of them. They're still able to keep him on their side before Samu misses the top rope headbutt and Scott finally gets the hot tag to Rick. And then this is actually the coolest, other than Bobby Heenan, to me, this is the coolest spot of the entire show. Oh my god, I did it twice. I actually wrote head shrinks twice.
Oh my.
Yeah, so apparently the head shrinks, from now on they're going to be the head shrinks. In infinitum, the head shrinks. I actually wrote it twice, so cool. Looks like they're setting up for Rick for some kind of doomsday device type move. Because you've seen, in the years you've been watching wrestling, I have about a 30-year head start on you watching wrestling. But even you've seen multiple doomsday style moves. They'll do anything off the top like that.
Yeah, Fatu's got Rick in the electric chair position at this point.
Yeah, and so they go to jump at him, and Rick catches him and power slams the other one off the other head shrinks' shoulder.
And somehow that's only a 2 count. Oh no, Fatu broke it up.
Yeah, it looked really cool.
Yeah, that was definitely the highlight of this match for me.
Yeah, so Scott gets a blind tag in, and after a little bit longer, he hits the Frankensteiner and wins. The Steiner brothers win.
Yep, that took 14 minutes, 23 seconds. On the whole, that match was pretty good.
It was the best show of the night, by, not even close. It wasn't close.
At this point, as I was rewatching it for this, I was optimistic about where the show was going to go.
Yeah, you poor sweet summer child. And honestly, it was not even after the next match. It was after the next match because I enjoyed the next match for what it was. So we go backstage to Mean Gene with Doink to hype up his match with Crush, and you see Doink had put his. They had a statue was supposed to be Julius Caesar of some sort, and they had put the Doink makeup on it in a wig because he's a wacky evil clown. And the only thing this reminded me of was Batman '89, the first Michael Keaton Batman movie, which even I know you've seen that movie.
Yes, I have.
The museum scene where they're vandalizing all the paintings and all the statues, and they paint over all the statues.
Right.
That's the only thing I could think of was Batman.
Gotcha.
I'm hearing Doink, and all I'm seeing is the Joker because of the statue thing. Once again, my mind is weird like that. So we go into that match, which is Crush versus Doink, and I noticed something. I've seen this pay-per-view multiple times, match videos, like I'm familiar with the event. At this point, this is the first time I realized there's a video screen in this arena.
Yeah, I saw that too. It was above the entryway, wasn't it?
Yeah, but as many times as I've seen matches and the show as a whole in my life, today I learned, I was today years old when I realized there was a video screen there.
Oh, you just noticed it?
Yes, literally today years old when I noticed that video screen.
Oh my.
In 30 years that this event's been around, I just now noticed the screen.
Well then.
So there you go, kids. Crush came out, Doink came out, and then Crush wasted no time going to the outside and just... The word I like using, and I like using it on this show too, is mollywhopping poor Doink.
Mm-hmm.
And it was bad. I forgot. I knew who won, but I forgot that... I didn't realize the first part of this was a straight-up squash match.
Yeah, Crush was in control of this for a very long time.
100% control. I thought this was going to be a squash match, and then we get to the ending. I was like, oh, look, surprise, surprise. But no, basically, until Doink hit a guillotine off the rope and got some blows in and hit a very stiff-looking pile driver.
Yeah, you don't see those much anymore because of how easily you can fuck someone up if you do it even a little wrong.
Oh, you could have done it back then, too. It's just you don't see pile drivers as much on TV. Or WWE, you really don't see a lot of pile drivers. You see them elsewhere on television.
Yeah, I think Undertaker was the last one allowed to use any kind of pile driver, and he's retired now, so...
But could you tell the Undertaker no?
Of course not.
No, even backstage, you can tell the Undertaker he can't do the tombstone? You're like, yeah, okay, cool. And then we got your new favorite terminology, and actually this was the only one of the show, the Flying Nothing.
Yeah, you pointed that out to me months ago, and there was a lot of Flying Nothings in this match. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
I only saw one. But for those viewers at home, Big Boct, good man, would you explain what a Flying Nothing is?
Absolutely. A Flying Nothing is where someone leaps off of a turnbuckle without trying to do a move so that their opponent can get the knees up, get a foot up, something like that.
And how obvious is a Flying Nothing?
Pretty freaking obvious.
Because it looks like they just kind of just hop off the top rope and oh no, how'd the foot get there?
Yep.
So, yeah. Be prepared to us let you know every time we see a Flying Nothing. So, damn near every episode.
Pretty much.
But there was actually, and then, Doink's still in control a little bit, to where he goes for another jump, but Crush catches him, and it was a really cool catch, and he turned it into a power slam.
Yeah, right after that, Doink got clotheslined out the ring.
Yep, and then he tried to crawl under the ring but Crush caught him, threw him back into the ring, and locked in the cranium crush. And you even saw the point where he lifted him up and slammed him back down with it. Crush was locked it in, Doink hit the rope, put his foot up the ropes to break it. Ref bump!
Yep.
First ref bump in the night, not the last. Doink powders out, and then he tries to sneak under the ring again.
Crush stops him again.
Locks in the cranium crush again before a second Doink sneaks in, and they beat the ever-loving shit out of him with the fake arm. It's tattered into pieces.
Crush. They've got Crush in a full Nelson for this part.
And then while Crush is down, they do that scene that a lot of people have seen, especially do it around WrestleMania, where they do the Doinks do the mirror act.
Mm-hmm.
I think I kind of dug that even still. To me, it still kind of holds up. It's kind of goofy, but it worked.
Yeah.
But then the ref comes to, the other Doink hops out of the ring, and then Doink wins.
Yeah, 8 minutes, 38 seconds. This wasn't bad, but this was average, I'd say.
This was number 3 for me, including if you're counting the dark match. This is number 3.
Gotcha.
And there's between 3 and 4, there's a huge gap. And for those that are playing at home, because of course I'm a big fan of Who's Under the Mask, Who's Under the Paint. The second Doink was Steve Kern, and we've already seen him on this show.
Remind me where we've seen him?
That's Skinner, the Gator Man.
Oh!
That was the guy that also played Skinner.
Gotcha.
Remember the famous Undertaker match where they stopped at a minute in and they never showed you the results?
Oh, yeah.
Which was also the episode of Raw on our most viewed episode.
Well, we just can't escape that one.
No. And that was also Hulk Hogan's return, too. Like, a lot of the stuff that falls through on what happened on WrestleMania IX was on that episode, our most viewed episode. So, we get to the first episode, we get the first appearance of Todd Pettengill, who, he was goofy. I liked him because he fit for the era. I kind of like Todd. I can see where people wouldn't like Todd.
He was playing like he was in...
He's goofy.
He was goofy, yeah.
But it kind of worked for that era, so it didn't bother me. And he's basically up in the nosebleed seats. The Bob Uecker seats, which I think, the reference to Major League, it's a whole, I like those movies. Bob Uecker, he was an actual baseball player, but he was actually the play-by-play guy in the Major League movies.
Ah.
He was also at WrestleMania 4. He's actually in the WWE Hall of Fame. He was actually also the dad in Mr. Belvedere.
Oh, haven't seen Mr. Belvedere.
It was a sitcom from the 80s that had a British guy that was like their butler/nanny type, and his name was Mr. Belvedere.
Okay.
I watched it as a kid. I bet I could watch it now and it would still be harmless. Like, it's like 80s sitcom. The most famous thing people know Mr. Belvedere from, because once again, short tangent, was one of they had like 2 or 3 kids in the show. There's 3 kids in the show. One of them had a friend who had AIDS.
Oh, really? In the 80s?
Yeah, well, this was the big AIDS epidemic thing where the kid got it from a blood transfusion.
Okay.
And everybody was like, oh, don't touch him. He's got AIDS. You can catch it.
Oh.
This was the episode to be like showing everybody, hi, this, everybody had on a very special Mr. Belvedere. One of those kind of things.
Yeah.
This is what it is. There's like, hey, you can't catch AIDS from somebody just by them touching you and all this. Because, when I was a kid, that was the whole big thing. It's like, oh, I can't play basketball with Big Boct. He's got AIDS. I'll catch it.
Right.
That was a big thing. And they're like, no, that's not how that works.
Right.
So that was the one episode everybody remembers from Mr. Belvedere.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wanted him in the school. None of the parents wanted him in the school because he had AIDS. And he got it from a blood transfusion.
Gotcha.
Anyways, that's a tangent. So we get into every other match. The rest of the show was meh at best, garbage at worst.
Yeah.
Speaking of garbage, and I can't believe I'm saying this match is garbage considering who's in it, Razor Ramon versus Bob Backlund.
Quite a random pairing to just have here.
Yeah, like this was, they're both Hall of Famers. Remember, they're talking about how old Bob Backlund was in this. He was 43.
Yeah, he had taken 8 years off of wrestling.
But he was 43. How many top wrestlers on TV now are in their 40s? That's like saying AJ Styles now is too old to wrestle. Chris Jericho's almost 50. That's like saying Chris Jericho's too old to wrestle.
Right.
Macho Man was about the same age, by the way. He was in his 40s. They didn't want him to wrestle anymore. Let's put it this way. Bob Backlund, at the time he was 43 for the show, he was WWF champion the year I was born.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Hulk Hogan didn't win until 84, by the way.
Year I was born.
Hulk Hogan didn't win until 84. But yeah, 82. By the way, yeah, we're talking about this, and it's almost as long as the match. Not a damn thing happened.
Yeah, it was just, they came out, they wrestled, it ended.
Razor Ramon got a small package and won.
Yeah, that only took 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
Yeah, and that's honestly, nothing happened. There was no cool, Bob Backlund fought out of the Razor's Edge, Razor counted the chicken wing. Not a damn thing happened.
Boring.
It straight up sucked. It wasn't boring, it sucked. Honestly, can I be, other than the second main event, and we'll get to what I mean by that at the end, this is the worst match of the show. I think this might be worse than Giant Gonzalez and The Undertaker.
And that was already pretty bad, so you know the standards are low.
And that's only because I know that Scott Hall could go at his peak. I know Bob Backlund could go at his peak. And neither one of these guys, like, Razor Ramon this time was still at his peak. This was 3 years before the NWO.
Right.
Bob Backlund could still go back then. We'll see him feud with Bret Hart next year. So he can still go. So when you got guys that that can go and you give a garbage 3-minute match where literally the small package was the biggest move of the match.
Yeah, it's really bad.
This is why I think this is the worst match of the show.
Gotcha.
We knew going in Giant Gonzalez and Undertaker was going to be garbage. There was no hope in that match. You could have done so much more with Razor Ramon and Bob Backlund. You could have given them 10 minutes and they could have done something cool.
But yeah, not even 5. There was no time for anything to happen.
There was less than 4. Anyway, yeah. But my tangent, that's why this is, to me, the worst match of the night.
Right.
Just because of the quality of the wrestlers in the ring. So we go back to Mean Gene, who's with Money Inc. about their... Oh, by the way, I forgot something. I'm going to bring it up again. We're talking about Mean Gene. He was talking to Doink. Doink gave away the finish of the match during the interview.
He did?
He was like, yeah, Crush better watch out for that. Double vision. Wonka wonka.
How did I not pick up on that?
He straight up told the finish of the match during the interview.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, he should have spoiled the match. He's like, yeah, there's going to be 2. He basically should have said, hey, 2 Doinks are coming out. Yeah, watch the promo again. He spoils the match.
Oh my gosh.
So basically, Money Inc. are coming out. Here's the big story about this. Hogan's got a nasty black eye. Because by the way, we're doing the tag title match. It's Money Inc. versus the Mega Maniacs with Jimmy Hart.
Yeah, that black eye looked real vicious.
Okay, like, we don't try to get into drama or backstage politics or too much, but we need to talk about this black eye. Hogan had a black eye to where he had dark blood in his eyeball. It was all dark red.
Yeah.
Stitches. It looked I've had black eyes before, and I'm sure you've gotten punched in the face a couple times.
I have.
I've gotten black eyes. You've probably gotten a couple black eyes in your life.
Yeah.
They hurt, first of all. You also get a nosebleed usually with it because how the nose works.
Right.
Or you can get punched in the nose and get a black eye because of how blood circulates. Anyways, the storyline, the kayfabe part was Hogan was at the gym and Money Inc. paid some goons to beat up Hogan.
Right.
Now, wrestling legend says there's more than one reason. There's never been a confirmed, but there's more than one story on why Hogan got the black eye.
Okay.
WWF's official story is that Hogan was jet skiing and caught jet ski handle whatever in the eye.
Okay.
Most people also say that Macho Man punched him in the face because there was this whole thing about him being jealous with, Miss Elizabeth was his wife at the time. I don't know if they were still married in '93. I think they still might have been, or in the process. But anyways, he always thought, there was times he always thought that Hogan was going out with her and having an affair with her. He got in an argument and punched Hogan in the eye.
Okay.
We don't know one way or another. We'll never know what really happened.
Right.
But in kayfabe, Money Inc. hired some goons to punch Hogan, beat him up before the match, and he got a black eye.
Right.
So, Money Inc. comes out first. Mega Maniacs come out with Jimmy Hart. They go to jump the Mega Maniacs, who take out Money Inc. and are still dancing along to the music. By the way, Real Americans hasn't stopped yet. They're still playing the theme song. So I know where New Jack had the idea in ECW. Who knew I was going to do a New Jack reference in 1993's wrestling?
Right.
Your ECW fans will know what I'm talking about by New Jack in the music. Alright, I'll explain to Boct because he has no idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
I know who New Jack is, but I don't know the reference.
Okay. When he was in ECW, he used to come out to Natural Born Killers with an A and a Z by Ice Cube.
Okay.
He would come out, and during his entire match, his theme song would play the entire time.
Okay.
From the time he came through the curtain to the time he left, the song always played.
Okay, now I get the reference.
Yes. So, yeah, we made a New Jack reference during Wrestlemania IX, ladies and gentlemen. Figure that one out.
Yeah.
And by the way, Hulk Hogan was not the original user of Real American.
Oh, really? Who was?
Fun fact, one of them was in this match.
Really?
Yep. Back in the WrestleMania 1 time frame, there used to be the tag team champions were called the U.S. Express. It was Barry Windham, who we know is in WCW right now, and Mike Rotundo, who you may know as Erwin R. Shyster.
Oh, really?
They were known as the U.S. Express. Not too long before they left the WWE permanently, Rick Derringer, who was known for the song Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. That song.
I know that song.
He wrote Real American.
Oh, really?
And it was given to the U.S. Express, which makes sense. I am a real American.
Right.
And I knew they were given this song. Until recently, I never saw them come out to the song once, but I was able to find a video where they did. So they did at least come out to some live shows to Real American.
That's really cool.
Yeah, because, WWE is very well known about recycling songs. They still do to this day. Yeah, this was actually recycled. Hulk Hogan was not the first one. IRS actually was. But one thing I did like about this match, they did it in the beginning, and it falls into the finish. They say that Brutus Beefcake, because for those that didn't watch the earlier episodes, in 1990, he had a legitimately near life-ending parasailing accident.
Yeah, when he was talking about that on Raw, I was like, is this kayfabe or is this real?
No, that legitimately happened. He was on a boat. He was on the boat, and everybody knows what a parasailing is.
Right.
But somehow the boat stopped, there was a miscommunication, and the lady that was in the parasail came down, and basically her knees collided with his face coming from that far up.
Yikes.
He nearly died. Like, he was legitimately out of wrestling for 3 years. So that injury was real. That was 100% true. But he had already, obviously, he's healed up at this point or he's not going to wrestle.
Of course.
But so he's got the mask on, and they say it's titanium. Not titanium. Titanium.
Right.
Which supposedly is also the same thing his barber shears are made out of. But I like there was always, it's like fun stuff, little stuff, where it's like they punch the mask and it hurts their hands.
Right, yeah. There's a notable spot where Ted hurts his hand after, I believe it was a flying nothing.
But no, he just punched him in the face.
Right.
But he punched him in the face and he hit the mask and he was like, oh my god, my hands hurt so bad. I like little stuff like that. I appreciate the little stuff.
Yeah, that's good storytelling.
And then, so Hogan tags, and this is what I noticed, Hogan tags in for the first time. Not a lot of fanfare.
Yeah, the crowd was pretty quiet for most of this show.
Yeah, no, well, not only that, and I don't know whether it was because of the smaller crowd, the acoustics of being in and outdoors. Hogan didn't get the cheers that people might have expected. In fact, DiBiase's in trouble for a while by the good guys. Beefcake comes in, they clear the ring, and that actually gets a bigger reaction than when Hogan came in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I noticed this. Whenever Hogan tagged in, there was not a lot of fanfare. And then Money Inc. decided to say, hey, fuck it, we're done, we're leaving. The ref actually gets on the ring and tells Finkus Maximus, I'm going to call him that the rest of the show, that if Money Inc. do not come to the ring and they get counted out, they're going to be stripped of the titles.
Right, so then they have to sprint back.
Yeah, they make it in. And then DiBiase actually gets over on Hogan for a while. IRS actually chokes Hogan with the tag rope while the ref's not looking.
So yeah, that's another common trope in tag team matches. You get one of the faces engaged with the ref while the heels do something cheap.
Yeah, this is just basic tag wrestling 101. DiBiase locks in the $1 Million Dream on Hulk Hogan, and I actually love the Cobra Clutch as a finisher or submission.
Yeah, this lasts quite a while, and this is when the crowd starts getting loud for Hogan.
Yeah, but I'm actually a big fan of the Cobra Clutch just in general.
Gotcha.
So they get down to the drops the shoulder twice. Hogan looks like he's going to start to Hulk up, but then he drops again. So while IRS is distracted, the ref, Beefcake comes in and locks in the sleeper hold on DiBiase, knocks him out, and then they're both down, so they're able to get a fresh tag. Both guys come in. Beefcake clears house of everybody. He's in control until DiBiase hits him with the briefcase. And then this is what I like. This is, once again, playing into the psychology of the mask. They know the mask is, like, super hard. It's tough. So they pull the mask off, and it's very Samson and Delilah.
Right.
Because as soon as the mask comes off, just the lightest touch to Beefcake's face kills him.
Right, and he's playing it up like he's in agony.
Yeah, like, I love, like, that's where sometimes you get the good psychology that works with it. And they finally get the mask off, and like I said, it's very Samson and Delilah if you know your Bible.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Samson and Delilah. The biblical story.
Right.
Beefcake able to clothesline both men, and he locks in the sleeper on DiBiase, which is actually Beefcake's finisher. DiBiase hits him. Guess what? Another ref bump. We're up to 2 so far already?
Yeah, that's 2.
Okay. Hogan gets the tag. Once again, not a lot of fanfare when Hogan comes in solo. So he gets the mask and hits both men with the mask. He and Beefcake go pin them. Ref's down. So what does Jimmy Hart do?
Turns his coat inside out, and he's got rough stripes on it.
And I would like to make a quote that I'm a big fan of quoting from that one famous commercial. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
That was a cell phone commercial, wasn't it?
It was something like that, but I was just like, I quote that commercial almost daily. We've known each other many years. I say that all the time.
Yeah, I've got that as a reaction weapon on my YouTube bookmarks.
Yeah, But anyways, so another ref comes in. So they the friggin' Jimmy Hart counts to 3. They good guys celebrate like they won the tag titles legally.
Yeah, not so much.
Another ref comes in, which is actually Danny Davis. I told you the story about the crooked ref.
Mm-hmm.
They've retconned that whole thing. He's just a normal ref now. Comes in and rightfully disqualifies Mega Maniacs for using the mask. Rightfully disqualifies them. Hey, you used a foreign object. You guys don't win the titles.
Right.
So what do the good guys do? They assault the referee.
Because of course, why wouldn't you?
Mind you, these are supposed to be the good guys. Hulk Hogan's supposed to be, at all exclamation points, the good guy. So, you get disqualified, you lose, you have Jimmy Hart throw the ref out, and you celebrate, but yet you lost the match. It makes no sense.
No, not at all.
And they celebrate for almost a good 5 minutes.
Yeah, the match itself took 1851, and it was at best.
And that doesn't count the fanfare after the match.
Yeah, they were also posturing for a long time before the bell rang.
Yeah. So you're talking, this probably had to be close to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because not only did they grab the briefcase that had a brick in it, even though it's a metal briefcase that had a brick in it. Halliburtons are very metal, by the way.
Right. There's
a brick in it. There's tax forms in it because IRS. And then there's money, and they give the money away. This had to go on for a half an hour.
Yeah, just this whole segment dragged.
It was bad. And then, so here comes Todd Pettengill again. A little quick crowd work. He talks to the singer Natalie Cole a little bit. How you enjoying it? Oh, yeah, great. You know, you can tell she's not a wrestling fan. Oh, I'm having a great time. Cool. You know, hi, everybody. And then he talks to the president of Caesar's Palace. And then we get Mr. Perfect in an interview with Mean Genie. Do you actually get a one of those not often flub-ups by Mr. Perfect about mixing up the narcissist's name with Lex Luger?
Right, the Lexorcist.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm just so excited I'm going to go out there. Because, you know, Kurt Hennig didn't make mistakes very often.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was planned or if that was a real flub, but either way, it was funny.
No, the flub wasn't, but he tried to recover with it. He's like, man, I'm so excited. I'm just going to go out there now. Like, he was a professional about it. He was like, he didn't... There's a famous Sid story about that, and we'll get into that when it gets to the... It's funny. So anyways, we get the narcissist, or as Bobby Heenan called it, the narcissist, depending on where you put the emphasis, versus Mr. Perfect. Now, on paper, this match could have been awesome. Mr. Perfect's in my all-time top 10. And Luger may not have been the greatest wrestler, but with the right person, he was able to do good stuff.
Yeah, and the match itself starts with some good chain wrestling, which I'm a fan of.
And you know I love a good chain wrestling.
Yeah, but it gets, I don't know why, but it got old really fast for these two.
Yeah, like I said, on paper, this match could have been a match of the night by far. I've seen Mr. Perfect have good matches with people way worse than Lex Luger. But you see, you know, Henning's working on Luger's leg. Luger's working on Mr. Perfect's back. They go back and forth once again. Really, this match is not bad. It's boring.
Yeah, they're doing, it's just, something about it just isn't working.
It didn't click. Nothing clicked. Nothing clicked in this. So we get to the point where Luger got caught with his feet on the ropes, but then Henning also got out of that. He goes for a power slam. Henning kicks out of that. So they go back and forth. Once again, nothing really happens. They're fighting over a backslide. Luger gets the backslide. Mr. Perfect's feet were on the ropes, so it should have counted as to break out the pinfall. Ref didn't see it. Mr. Perfect wins. Excuse me, Lex Luger wins. Luger hits him with a loaded forearm.
Yeah, that was 10 minutes, 58 seconds of just meh.
And there's the thing, Luger legitimately did have a metal plate in his forearm.
Oh, that was legit? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was in a motorcycle accident and legitimately has a metal plate in his arm.
Okay.
But they're playing it up like if he hits you with it, it knocks you out. Like, that's why he was using the flying forearm for a while.
Gotcha.
So afterwards, Henning gets up, he follows Luger backstage, and the cameras follow him backstage, and he starts fighting with Lex Luger before he gets jumped by Shawn Michaels, and they both lay out Mr. Perfect. So we got Perfect and Michaels' next feud. They're going to feud with each other.
Yeah, at this time, Randy Savage and Bobby Heenan are arguing, and JR's trying to keep the peace. They're on that for a little bit.
Yeah, and then we get to what most people consider the worst match of the night. Giant Gonzalez, who they bill as 8 foot, but I think was legitimately 7'6", with Harvey Whippleman versus The Undertaker with Paul Bearer.
Yeah, I can't tell if Gonzalez is wearing a bodysuit or just body paint at this point.
It's a full bodysuit airbrushed. And you can look on his face when he's walking. He's wiping his brow. He's miserable.
Oh, Las Vegas at this time of year? I can imagine.
Well, August, it still would have probably been, but you're close to the desert. You've probably been in the 70s or the 80s. But he's probably been in that bodysuit all day. You can see he's sweating already. He's starting to wipe his brow already. Now, the only cool thing that happens in this match is The Undertaker's entrance.
Yeah, he comes out on a funeral chariot.
Yeah, like he had these big, like, dudes, like Egyptian-looking dudes pulling this all-black chariot. Green smoke. He had a vulture on the thing that holds the birds. I don't know if there's a term for it.
Perch?
Perch, thank you. But he had a real-life vulture. Like, it looked, aesthetically, it looked fantastic.
And if that's the best thing that happens, then you know your match is in trouble.
The match has already peaked at this point.
All downhill from here.
Mm-hmm. So the first couple minutes is them just choking each other.
Yeah, choking each other, just throwing hands like they're MMA fighters.
Yeah, Undertaker hits School. It's not Old School yet. He hits School. Gonzalez clotheslines Undertaker and then just locks it in the world's longest chin lock.
Yeah, that was held for a long time.
I wrote in my notes, very, very long chin lock. And then the next note, still going on, ... It went on that long, I wrote about it twice in my notes.
Oh my gosh.
Very, very long chin lock, still going on ... But Gonzalez, I want to say that was a good, 2 to 3 minutes?
Yeah, and when you consider this match only took 7 minutes 34.
And half of it was the chin lock, I want to say legitimately half of it.
30-40% at minimum.
Yeah, this was very long. But Gonzalez keeps knocking down The Undertaker. He keeps getting up. He gets Giant Gonzalez down to one knee. But when he does this, Harvey Whippleman hops on the apron to check the ref, and he tosses Giant Gonzalez, the only thing you can beat an undead, old-timey mortician with, which is...
Chloroform.
Chloroform. Mind you, he's supposed to be undead, so he doesn't need to breathe, but he loses... Or not, he doesn't lose, but... Remember, he's supposed to be undead. Do the undead breathe?
No.
I get you're supposed to suspend your disbelief when it comes to stuff like this. The undead do not breathe. They don't have to. They're undead. But Giant Gonzalez is able to use chloroform on somebody that doesn't breathe.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were playing it up like that at this point.
Well, of course, he's always been undead. They always called him the undead. Well, he's undead anyways. Remember, he looks like he's from the 1890s.
Right.
He looks like the bad guy from Poltergeist 3. That's a weird reference. Anyways, yes, so the one thing the one thing that you need to use to subdue somebody is for them to breathe. They use it on somebody that can't breathe or doesn't breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so guess what? He gets DQ'd for using a foreign object.
And was this Taker's first WrestleMania match, or?
Oh, no, this would have been his third. We didn't talk about the streak for years after this. So the streak was not a thing until... They didn't really start counting numbers on his matches, I think, until 18.
Okay, I was wondering how long that was going to be.
Yeah, because WrestleMania 7 he beat Jimmy Snuka. WrestleMania 8, the year before, he beat Jake the Snake. This year, he beats Giant Gonzalez. Oh, shit. Was he in 10?
I know there were some that he missed with injury.
Yeah, I don't think WrestleMania 10 was when he was in. And then 11, he beat King Kong Bundy, which, wow. And then he beat Diesel in 12, Sid in 13, 14 was Kane, 15 was the Big Boss Man, 16 he wasn't there, 17 was Triple H, 18 was Ric Flair, 19 was supposed to be him and Nathan Jones versus The Big Show and Albert. Nathan Jones was so bad they turned it into a handicap match.
Oh, geez.
20 was Kane. 21, that was the Hollywood one. That was... I'm doing this from memory, by the way. I don't have this up on my screen. I'm trying to do this from memory.
Oh, wow.
21 was Randy Orton. 22 was Mark Henry. 23 was... Alright, and that's where I started to get fuzzy.
Okay.
I did it from 7 to 23. Give me some credit.
Hell yeah, that's some good memory, bro.
And that was all from memory. I don't have this up on my screen at all. The newer ones where I start getting into 23... Did he wrestle in 23? I don't remember. Because at that point, it's when he was only starting to do like a couple matches a year.
Right, but he was starting to wind down because he was starting to get old.
Yeah. But anyways, this is the part where I thought it was goofy. It was like some of the people were in toga, so they bring out the EMTs and the refs. Some of the refs, most of the people are in normal attire. A couple of the guys are actually in toga, so they stood out even more.
Yeah.
And then Giant Gonzalez chokeslams the referee that was in the match, which is actually future famous ECW manager Bill Alfonso, who's still managing. But he started as a referee before he became a manager.
Cool.
They put Undertaker on a gurney, wheel him out, he comes back, he actually knocks Giant Gonzalez down, and oddly, the crowd actually starts chanting for Hogan.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like, why?
I don't know. They didn't chant for him during his match, but they chant for him during the Undertaker match.
Because that makes sense.
By the way, Hogan and Giant Gonzalez never meet. So Mean Gene is backstage to promote the main event. We'll get into that here in a second. And of course, do you think we're going to bring out Mr. Fuji to promote the main event?
No.
Are we going to bring out Yokozuna?
No.
Are we going to bring out Bret the Hitman Hart?
No.
Who comes out to talk about the main event? Boct?
Hulk Hogan.
Yay. Bring out somebody that has no involvement in the main event to come out talk about the main event as opposed to, I don't know, your fucking world champion.
Yeah, the only thing that really happens is Hogan calls a challenge to whoever wins the match.
Yeah, there's also controversy backstage about that too, which, once again, we don't try to do too much drama, but we kind of have to touch on it a little bit.
Right.
So, we do get Todd Pettengill, and I actually saw this and I kind of snickered a little bit. We get Todd Pettengill one more time.
This one I didn't like.
Well, because it wasn't, I don't know, the part that I kind of snickered in, I don't know if you caught it. But so he's talking to a couple people, hey, how do you like the show, whatever. So he goes over to talk to a couple drunk bros, like, bruh, from California. I don't know if you noticed this, but as he's going over, he kind of shoves a kid out of the way.
I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, before he went over to talk to the bros, wearing their mom's curtains, you actually see Todd Pettengill kind of just shove a kid out of the way. I was like, that's awesome. He's like, here, move. And they're all like, yeah, we're on camera. I'm going to do fake wrestling moves on you, bruh.
Oh, gosh.
I'm not going to lie. I would have been that dude back in the day.
I think any of us might have been that dude back in the day.
Yeah. But anyway, so we get into the main event. Supposed to be the main event. Technically is the main event, not the last match. All right, so we are into the main event, but not the last match of the show. Everybody that's seen this match knows what I'm talking about. It's for the WWF title. The challenger, with Mr. Fuji, Yokozuna, versus Bret the Hitman Hart. And Bret actually gets a legitimate reaction. It's one of the biggest reactions of the show.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, and they go through the whole process with the salt and all the posturing that Yokozuna does, which is legitimately what they do for sumo matches.
Right.
Like, it's like when they throw the salt, it's a ceremonial thing. It's supposed to get rid of any evil spirits. Like, it's a lot of tradition when it comes to sumo wrestling.
Right.
Because, Japanese culture is very big on traditions and respecting your ancestors and all this stuff. That's what all this is. And the stomping, I think, is to show that, we're not hiding anything that we shouldn't have in our thing. Like, we're all doing this legit. Like, it's a whole ceremony. They legitimately do this.
Right.
And we talked about this before, but Yokozuna is actually, as a person, is another member of the Noye family. He's part of that family. But no, Yokozuna is actually a title. It's basically sumo wrestling's Grand Master. If you achieve the title of Yokozuna, you're considered a Grand Master sumo wrestler.
I don't remember the literal translation of the word, but I think it might be Grand Master.
It's basically a black belt in sumo wrestling. If you're considered a Yokozuna, you're basically a black belt.
Right.
They don't hand him out very much. Anyway, so we get a quick exchange back and forth. And see, this is why I like Bret. Whether you like him or not, whatever, he can have a good match with almost anybody.
Yeah.
Maybe except Giant Gonzalez. But, you could see, he's really going back and forth. He could give as well as he could take. And there was this cool move where he was actually able to knock Yokozuna down and tie his foot into the bottom rope.
Yeah.
I like that as being smart. He's starting raining blows on him. He's like, I got him down while I can. But Yoko comes back, splats him with a leg drop, and he takes over. And this, honestly, is surprisingly an even match. Relatively even.
You wouldn't expect that big just because of the size mismatch, but...
Yeah, before he gets Yokozuna, kicks him with a sidekick.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets him with the nerve hold, which JR, and I'm going to say this, we're saying this secondhand, JR called it the Oriental nerve hold.
Yeah, I heard that.
Hey, don't shoot the messenger. Don't cancel us. Remember, this was 1993. Wait till you get to WCW, where the white guy was known as Yoshi Kwan, and he was a Japanese time-traveling wrestler.
What?
That happens in 93. Wait till you get to Yoshi Kwan. It's a white dude, actually.
Oh, boy.
Wait till you get to the point where WCW had a guy known as the Ultimate Solution.
Oh, God!
Yeah, you know what that is.
Yes, I know exactly what that is.
They had to change his name to the Final Solution, but he was actually known, at least for a couple weeks, as the Ultimate Solution.
Yikes.
We'll save what that means. If you already know what that means, cool, but we'll save what that means when we get to about 1995.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. They also used to have a guy named Jack Boot at one point.
Oh, for the love of...
I'm saying! Remember, they used to have foreign people be foreign wrestlers because foreign people bad. Remember, back in the 50s and 60s, there was a lot of Von Braun German wrestlers.
It was a different time.
Uh-huh. We're not saying it's good or bad, but, we're just relaying what was said.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Nope. We'll also get on eventually, many, many years down the road, how I think Muhammad Hassan actually could have worked as a good gimmick before they fucked it up.
Right.
There was actually legitimately, it was like, okay, I'm behind this guy, I see what he's doing, and then they fucked it up by making him a stereotype. By the way, the real life Muhammad Hassan, the guy that played him, was Italian.
Oh, yeah. We've talked about that one before.
Yeah. But no, actually, the way they brought him... We're going off on a slight tangent about foreign heels. When they brought him out, before they changed him into the whole, oh, hi, I'm a pure Islamic stereotype. Basically how they got him fired from his job. How the WWE actually got him fired from his own job.
Oh, God.
Because the famous one where he had all the guys in camouflage choke out the Undertaker with a piano wire?
Right.
That was recorded. They used to record him ahead of time. That was the same day as the London subway bombings when it hit TV.
Right. Yeah. You told me about that.
He lost his job because of that. Basically, he was at one time was supposed to be champion. He lost his job over that. He basically never wrestled again. He wrestled once, I think, in 2016, but he's a school principal now.
Quite a fall.
He basically got his career ruined by the company that he was working for.
That sucks.
But when he came out, he was like, hey, I'm an American. I'm one of you. When all this 9/11 jingoistic crap happened, you guys attacked me because I look different, and I was born in America. Okay, I see where you're going as a bad guy. It's a new wrinkle. I'm behind this character. I like this. You're doing something different with it. You have me It's like Django Unchained. You now have my attention.
Right.
He's not just, oh, look at me. I mean, he was like, no, I'm pissed at you guys because you treated me different because of the color of my skin.
Right.
I'm like, okay, you have me invested now. I want to see where this goes. Because you could use that to organically make him a face. Where the people start cheering him for him eventually realize, hey, he's one of us, da da da. Like how the New Day went organically became heel and organically became face.
Right, right.
You could organically have the crowd eventually get behind him. Because he wasn't an evil guy from a foreign country. He was an American who got treated differently because of the things that happened during 9/11. I'm behind this character. He's like, I'm not a terrorist. I'm not one of these people. I'm just a normal person who got treated like crap for no reason. And by the end of it, they made him a terrorist anyways. I'm just like, damn it, you had something there. You know, if I had the You Were the Chosen One sound clip, I would have played it right there. But anyways, yeah, no, I feel bad for the guy because he was a good wrestler too.
Yeah.
But anyways, they go to the nerve hole. Brett gets out of it. He hits a bulldog, but Yokozuna does that thing I love with when the big guy presses the small guy out of the pin attempt.
Right.
I love that move. Elbow drop gets another one of those kickouts. He gets a couple clotheslines in. Knocks down Yokozuna, still gets up. And there's this thing, there was a cool move, how they pulled it off was really cool, where Brett's holding on to the turnbuckle, Yokozuna's trying to pull him off of it, he pulls off the turnbuckle pad, slams Yokozuna into the exposed steel, and then locks in the sharpshooter, which, this was a big deal, nobody knew if you could lock in the sharpshooter on somebody like Yokozuna, and he was able to.
Because he was so big, right?
That, and Brett was that, yeah, because you saw how big Yokozuna, he was 505 pounds at the time.
Right.
Not his biggest weight in WWE, but it's another thing. So anyways, this is where you get the Brett locks in the sharpshooter, Fuji throws salt in his eyes, and Yokozuna pins him. We have a new world champion, ladies and gentlemen, at
8 minutes, 57 seconds.
It was an alright match. It wasn't bad, and it wasn't boring. It was just adequate, I guess would be the right word for it.
Decent would be the word I'd use.
Yeah, like it wasn't bad, it wasn't boring, it was just there. And then, of course, Hogan comes out to complain because, of course, Hogan does. And then Fuji, remember, Yokozuna has not been pinned or submitted since he came to the WWF.
Right.
Fuji calls out Hogan and puts up the title because of course he does. So we get our final match of the night. Yokozuna versus Hulk Hogan for the title. Yokozuna grabs Hogan, Fuji goes to throw the salt, hits Yokozuna, Hogan hits Fuji, clothesline, leg drops Yokozuna, Hogan wins lulls.
22 seconds.
Yeah, you just ruined one of your top heels now by having him lose in 22 seconds to Hulk Hogan. And then he celebrates like he won the title for the first time.
That ending was just, wow.
It's considered one of the worst endings in wrestling history. Here's the thing, and we talked about this. By the way, this is when Hogan made his return, our most viewed episode.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see Hogan on television again until 2002.
Seriously?
You get video because you're gonna get Hogan versus Yokozuna at King of the Ring. We get the first ever King of the Ring pay-per-view this year. It's gonna end up becoming Yoko versus Hogan for the title. That's the last live televised event you see Hogan at. Because all he does is pre-recorded bits for the show, for Raw and stuff.
And then he'll show up on the pay-per-views, I would guess.
Which is not until June. So you got about 2 months before he has it. You don't see him on Raw. He does when he came out to Raw that one night, the live thing.
Right.
That was the only time you saw him live until WrestleMania, and then King of the Ring. And then after that, he was gone until 2002.
And to think people complain about wrestlers working light schedules these days.
Yeah, he would still do house shows, but it's basically no, I'm good.
Okay, I gotcha.
So there's if you want to read the story about it, there was also rumors that Brett versus Hogan for the title at SummerSlam, Hogan was going to pass the torch. Supposedly this never happened. This was going to happen. They said it was going to. There was, promotional pictures taken. There's a whole story about it in Bret Hart's autobiography. Once again, there's 3 sides to every story. Your side, my side, what really happened.
Right.
We don't know. Brett has his stories, and there's other stories saying this was never going to happen, whatever. Once again, we try not to get into the whole politics part of it, but it's just, yeah, Hogan wins lulls.
Yep, lol.
This pay-per-view sucked.
I would give this a D.
You're generous. D-.
Yeah, there was stuff I could watch, but not a lot.
Okay, the only matches that I liked, which there were some that were okay, was Head Shrinkers versus the Steiner Brothers. I honestly enjoyed Crush versus Doink. And then the dark match. The dark match was better than everything after Crush versus Doink.
Crush versus Doink wasn't bad. I think the Head Shrinkers versus the Steiners is my match of the night.
Same.
But yeah, I don't know. So much of it just didn't work.
Yeah, it's just, and to think that WrestleMania 11 is just as bad, if not worse.
Not looking forward to that one.
So, thank you everybody for for sticking with us. Thank you, everybody, for being here for our return of Dropkicks and Attractions. We will be doing this every week. They will be on YouTube. We're going to be putting the video parts of it, which is just the podcast itself, but it's going to be on YouTube and Rumble every Friday. And then every Saturday, I put them on. We will be on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, Good Pods. So by the end, every weekend you'll have us either on streaming sites or like either as podcast form or on, like I said, YouTube and Rumble.
Right.
All right, we are on Twitter at D and A Podcast 1. We're going to start putting more stuff up there, and we will actually have the WrestleMania Dark Match up there later on this week, so you can make your own judgment. Where can they find you, Boct?
I can be found at Big Boct, BIGBOCT, on most socials.
And do you have any projects coming up? I know you do some stuff with commentary. Do you have anything coming up here soon?
Not in the immediate future. I'm trying to work my schedule so I can get back to doing commentary over some randomizers for the Speed Gaming Twitch Collective.
Okay. And then for myself, I'm on Xander Invictus on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. I'm bringing my Instagram back, TikTok. And for your movie buffs, I am on Letterboxd at Xander Invictus. Just look for the Rhino logo. Same name, same logo. We'll be talking about a lot of movies over there. And we will be talking next week with the fallout of WrestleMania. We're going to be talking about the Monday Night Raw from April 5th, 1993. WCW Saturday Night from April 10th, 1993. So until then, we will see everybody next week for more Dropkicks and Attractions.
Take care.